It's Alzheimer's Awareness Day here at UC Health Training Center. Fans trading in the orange and blue for purple, and it's a beautiful Saturday morning for some football. Justin Simmons hanging out with the fans. Day 7 of camp and exactly 1 week out from the Broncos' first preseason game against the Vikings. And the fans all have their orange Broncos Country towels out, cheering on the Broncos here today. Hello, and thank you for joining us for Broncos Camp Live, powered by Ford. I'm Phil Milani, alongside Matt Boyer, Andrew Mason. He's got his Broncos Country towel out, and we're
rocking
ready
the
to
purple.
go.
Looking
we're
good,
all rocking
Phil.
the purple.
There we go.
It's obviously an important cause for the Broncos.
Yeah, obviously the Bolin family, unfortunately, dealing with this disease right now. Very excited to see, though, Broncos Country turning. It looks like a Rockies game out there on the berm. There's so much purple, but a great, great cause, and happy to see that Broncos Country turned out.
I think a fair amount of people actually wore their Rockies jerseys. I was looking through my closet, and I'm looking for purple, and I'm like, well, I got this Arenado jersey I can wear, but thanks to Phil for hooking me up with this T-shirt. But actually, a few people still wearing orange, and Casey Barrett of Mile High Report commented to me, hey, it looks like a Phoenix Suns game.
Yeah, a little
in the
bit.
crowd.
Yeah, the orange and the purple, of course. We'll have a lot more on what today means for the Broncos and some of the special things that they're doing to help spread Alzheimer's awareness. Let's get into the football a little bit here, guys. Yesterday, believe it or not, Case Keenum threw his first interception.
Finally, not finally, but that's what the defense was thinking. They thought, you know what, we need to get this guy. He's been on fire. But also, we heard from Chris Harris Jr. earlier this week. That's a good thing. We want to see Case on point, really hitting his targets well. But when Will Parks, Mace, made that interception yesterday, you could tell the little dance that he did at the end. The defense, that one meant a little extra.
Dance, a little bit of a sigh of relief, but at the same time, something that Will Parks mentioned when we talked to him after practice was on Orange and Blue 760. You can listen to that actually on Broncos podcast as well, is that for the last few years, the defense has made the offense uncomfortable. But now the offense is making the defense uncomfortable. And that's actually what you want in terms of getting ready for the season. Last year's offense, we know that it struggled, maybe didn't prepare the defense as well as everyone would have liked. But this year's offense, with all it can do, the array of options that it has, it's posing a lot of tough questions for the defense, making it uncomfortable. And I think it'll make it better in the long run.
Yeah, Will Parks making the big play. He's entering year 3. You know that he's got to have a big camp because the competition at the safety position is really tight right now, especially when guys like Jamal Carter are really having a great camp.
Yeah, Jamal Carter, of course, was on the roster last year, mostly as a special teamer, but it seems like he's jumping out, making plays against the run, especially Sua Cravens has missed a little time. That's moved Jamal Carter up, and he's done well. Will Parks has had a good camp, and, of course, the two guys, the tops, Darian Stewart and Justin Simmons, look pretty good as well. It's a really deep group, and it's a group that I think you're going to see the Broncos keep 5 players, but all of those guys, if they had to start, I think could produce if asked.
Vance Joseph, yesterday said, plays with his hair on fire. That's what they want from Jamal Carter, especially on special teams, because that's a position or a position group that we don't really talk about as those gunners getting downfield. The Broncos have a punter now in Marquette King. He's going to hang the ball very, very high in that mile-high air. If Carter can get downfield, he can really establish himself as a special teams leader on this team.
Yeah, Vance Joseph talking about the great job that John Elway does once the draft's over, finding some of these guys who are left out there, the college free agents, and Jamal Carter, no exception. He knows he has to come out and make a play here to get recognized by the coaches. Another big camp for a guy like Shane Ray they bring in a Bradley Chubb. He knows he's got to have a big camp too.
And he's delivering. He's, of course, at 250 pounds now, which is the heaviest weight that he's had in his career. And because of that, it looks like he's got a couple more pass rush moves in his arsenal. He's able to go inside. He's able to use the power moves, get the hands up in the chest, and drive the opposing offensive tackle back, whereas in previous years, he relied simply on his speed and quickness. Now he can be more physical. That's helping out. You've got Shane Ray and Von Miller, and often you're seeing Bradley Chubb go in with his hand in the dirt with Ray and Miller on the outside. That could be a pretty tough pass rush combo to deal with.
Shane Ray, 13 career sacks, says he's not playing with any limitations.
No. The mantra that he's kind of gone into in this camp is, everybody's talking about my wrist, but as you mentioned, Phil, this year it's no pain, no limits for Shane Ray, especially when it comes to that wrist.
It's just a splint, honestly. It just stops my hand from, going back like this. this is where I don't want my hand to go because too much pressure create pain. So because my hand is in this position, I'm not getting that pain that I was getting. I still have strength, I still have my grabbing. The only difference is trying to come out at that angle. And, this is like my rough draft brace. It's great that we in training camp and, I can figure out the ways to use it. And then when I go get another one made, it'll be, a little bit more perfected to what I'm trying to do out here. So.
And we see Shane there getting ready, stretched out. He's got that temporary cast on the left wrist. One cool thing I know we're going to have on DenverBroncos.com coming up this week, Shane Ray. We rode in with him during his ride, and we did it with Derek Wolf last week. This week, it's Shane Ray. Shane talked a lot about the wrist, how excited he is for this camp. Also very interesting, he goes through his routine, his playlist, driving into camp, his breakfast routine. We cover it all on Broncos Country Carpool, so make sure to stay tuned for that. I think also, Phil, this is a big year for him, and he knows it. He's really keying in this year on the small details.
Yeah, exactly. Shane Ray, nice of him to show off his cast there. And our thanks to Andrew Mason for joining us. Now, happy to be joined by Allie Pishing,
Good
of course,
morning.
The Executive Director of the Broncos Community Development Department. Tell us a little bit about why we're all wearing purple here today.
We are doing something unique this year at training camp, and today is really all about spreading awareness. So we have dubbed this Alzheimer's Awareness Day at camp. We encouraged all of our fans to wear purple, and we have been joined by the Alzheimer's Association Colorado chapter all day, giving out information about the services that are available, 10 signs to spot Alzheimer's, what we can be doing to help raise awareness and raise funds for research for this terrible disease.
I know we're wearing our purple. We got our wristbands
Good.
on. We got the towels going.
We do.
I know this issue. A lot of awareness has been generated by the Bolin family. Members of the Bolin family are here today. What kind of response have you seen from the Broncos Country community towards the family and this cause?
I've been blown away by the support so far. I think Alzheimer's is a very terrible disease, and everyone knows someone who's been impacted by this. So within other families, other communities, our Broncos Country fans came out in full force to support because they wanted an avenue to do so. They wanted to be able to join in on this cause with us. And so having the Bolin family here means a lot to the team. They're the greeting faces at the gate this morning, passing out giveaways, collecting donations, and the team is matching all donations made today at camp to go towards research.
Very cool.
That's amazing. And also, I think you can donate if you're not out here at camp today at dbron.co/donate. And of course, the walk to end Alzheimer's coming up September 15th, another big day for the Bronco family.
It is. It's the 29th annual walk in Denver, usually one of the largest in the country, expecting more than 10,000 participants at that walk this year. And Mrs. Annabelle Bolin spearheaded Team Super Bowl, in which I'm wearing my Team Super Bolin shirt.
Nice.
Spearheaded Team Super Bowl back in 2014 after Mr. Bolin announced his diagnosis. And so this is a great way to kick off just awareness for that walk, and we'll be doing things with the Alzheimer's Association leading all the way up to.
5.7 million Americans live with this disease. How far do you think, or how much has the awareness really helped spearhead some of the help that's going toward this terrible disease?
It's been great. I think it's a very private disease. It's a very private struggle. And the fact that the Bolin family felt courageous enough to come out with their diagnoses, the Alzheimer's Association has shared with us that it's been tremendous because it makes it okay to talk about this. It makes it okay to bring it forefront to a day at Broncos camp where people are talking about this, learning about this. And so I think, it's a great win-win on off the field for us to be able to continue to make a difference.
What's the response been from the players? Because I know I've seen Case Keenum out there with his sign. I've seen a couple of guys representing for the Bolin family. What has the response been from the actual guys on the field?
Well, and it goes back to what I was saying, that everyone has been impacted by this. So when we started posting towels and signs, we had players coming to our department, to the community department, saying, I lost my grandmother to this. I lost my grandfather to this. My grandmother was just diagnosed. And so they want to get involved. So we've got players out there today with their towels. They'll be supporting all the way up through the walk. They've got their bracelets and pins. So it's something that when people see purple now, we hope that they think Alzheimer's.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for taking some time to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. We heard from Case Keenum. Let's see the message that he actually recorded for the Broncos to help spread awareness for today.
Hey guys, this is Case Keenum, Denver Broncos quarterback. Just want to let you guys know I'm wearing purple for my grandma. She lives out in Mertzon, Texas. Just got diagnosed Alzheimer's here pretty recently, but love her to death, and this cause is definitely near and dear to my heart.
You see Case Keenum out there warming up for practice today. He's obviously shared a very personal message there talking about his grandmother. That's who he's trying to help spread awareness for today. She's battling the disease down in Texas. So our thanks to Allie Pishing for joining us this morning. You see all the orange out at practice, obviously, and or all the purple out at practice this morning. And now we bring on Eric Dalal,
guy
also
with
wearing
no
a
shortage of purple in his wardrobe, the Northwestern Wildcat.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about Case Keenum. Finally got his first interception there yesterday. Don't normally like to publicize an interception, but when it's 6 days into camp, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, not a bad thing necessarily. He's played well all of camp. And I think the takeaway from yesterday's interception, which came at an end of half kind of drill, is Vance Joseph said, hey, we don't need to make that play. We'd like points here, but they're not super important. He pointed Case back to that New York Giants game last year where Trevor Siemian threw a pick six, and all of a sudden the game, as Vance Joseph said yesterday, is over. So knowing the situation is important, but I don't think there's any cause for concern if you're a Broncos fan. Case has been great through these first few days.
You're not freaking out?
No, of course not. Come on. No, of course not. I think we mentioned it yesterday or a couple days ago. The amount of attention that's been given to Case through the national media, I think, has been kind of eye-opening. The fact that he's come in, already picked up things so quickly, from the young guys to the veterans. I think that he's put himself in a pretty good position, and I think one pick in 6 days, not a concern.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that Vance said a couple days ago was that, hey, everybody's talking about can Case be as good as he was last year. Vance is saying he's better than what he's seen on film. So I think there's potentially you could see a better Case Keenum than he was in 2017. And if that's the case, then the Broncos have got to be feeling really good.
Well, we've got a chance to really look at this entire team through the first week of camp. They're going to have a little bit of a scrimmage on Sunday. But knowing what we know about this Broncos team, you think they got a shot to get back into the playoffs?
I do. I think that if you look at top to bottom, the depth, I think, is something that this team has that last year's team necessarily didn't. I think you look at running back, the depth, even though they're young, the position battle, I think, is going to put out some incredible talent. Wide receivers, those young wideouts are going to push Demarius as well as Emmanuel. I think that on defense, too, the linebackers just so deep. The depth, I think, is going to be huge for this team this year.
Yeah, and also you got a second year for Vance Joseph. He's going into another season after drinking from a fire hose, as John Elway said last year.
Exactly.
I think he's got a better handle on things, and why wouldn't he? You know, for all of us, the second year we do our jobs, we're a little more comfortable. I think it's going to be the same for him. He's more in control of practice, holding guys accountable, holding coaches accountable. I think he can only get better, and that only helps the team.
Weapons all across the field there. You see the tight ends. There's going to be a lot of offensive weapons, and if that offense can raise its level of play and the defense stay right about where it was last year, this Broncos team could be pretty good. One of the big question marks, though, we don't see Tremaine Brock out there.
29.
That's going to be a cause. Bradley Roby's really going to have to play well.
I think that he knows that this is a big year for him. He knows this is his time to shine. I think last year when the team, or last offseason rather, traded away Aqib Talib, they said, you know what, we're all in on Bradley Roby. He showcased what he needs to do on special teams, coming in as a rookie, all the way up to being that third cornerback behind Chris and Aqib, and now he's ready to take the reins. I think that Coach Marcus Robertson has said as much, that he is ready to go, and he feels like this is his time.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Roby. He can make those big game-changing plays. A lot of the times we see Chris Harris Jr. lock down the guy that he's playing against, and that's great, but you need those game-changing plays, and Bradley Roby's made them. You know, he had a pick six against Jacksonville a couple years ago. He had a forced fumble against Miami a year ago. But Vance also wants to see him not make kind of the game-altering play in the other direction. So make those plays, but don't take unnecessary chances.
He's also got the Steve Atwater stamp of approval. Steve was on here a couple of days ago saying how great he thought Roby had played, and we had mentioned he does something once every practice at least where you go, wow, like where did he come from?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's going to be really key when you're going back and looking at the film and seeing, you know, what he can bring.
When you talk about game-changing plays over the years, Demarius Thomas has made a lot of game-changing plays for this Broncos offense. So far through camp, he said he's been really impressed with the other wide receivers in his room.
It is one of the deepest wide receiver corps we've had since I've been here out of my 9 years. And it's going to be a tough decision for the coaches because every guy can get open, every guy can get off the press, every guy got great routes. You know, not many mental errors in a group. You know, coming out in training camp and being able to start on a new offense with 13-plus guys and We switching out here and there. It's not many mistakes, and that's big for our team. When you can find guys that don't make many mistakes and go out and make plays, that's big.
Demaryius Thomas obviously impressed, says the coaches are going to have some really difficult decisions out there, and we haven't even talked about a guy like Jordan Taylor who's missed the entire offseason battling some hip, getting back from his hip surgeries from over the season. So wide receiver are going to be a position to watch.
Yeah, I think that those young guys, we saw it on DenverBroncos.com, they're putting in the work. They are chomping at the bit to get on the field and get a little slice of those pass-catching opportunities from Case Keenum.
Yeah, and a lot of depth there as well. You got Philly Brown, who's working his way back from a concussion. He's out there today, not wearing pads, but should participate in some individual drills, it looks like. You've got a guy like Jordan Taylor, like you mentioned, Phil. So this might be the deepest position group on the entire roster, and it's a bunch of guys that are not just here for camp. They could make this team and, contribute at some point this season.
We were talking in the lead into the show, hey, Demaryius Thomas, he better play well, just because there's going to be a lot of competition in that wide receiver spot. Maybe some big names maybe some surprises will come toward the end of camp. Not saying anything about DT, but just this team as it increases its level of play, some bigger names are going to be on that cut list.
No, there's depth. Absolutely. I don't think DT has anything to worry about, but I think that, like you said, veteran guys are going to get pushed to their limits when it comes to this competition, and we'll see how it meters out.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see, really. You don't want to go into a season where you've got one guy at each position that below that you don't have anything, because the nature of the NFL is those guys are going to have to play at some point. So the competitive depth, I think, is really good and speaks to what the Broncos could be this year in an AFC West that I think is definitely gettable.
And if you think about it, every year 10, 12 guys are coming in trying to take your job. So a guy like DT always knows he's got to beat out some of these young guys really every single year. All right, we're coming to a close here on the show. Don't forget you can watch or check out Orange and Blue 760 all throughout camp. We have Andrew Mason on earlier. You can catch him and get his thoughts. That's 10-1 for First and 10 at 10 on Orange and Blue 760. Of course, you can watch the Orange and Blue Daily on Channel 20 at 6:30 every night. All right, that's going to do it for us. Let's one more time an Alzheimer's shout out. We're all wearing the purple here for a good cause today, and make sure to check out dbron.co/donate if you want to look how you can get involved and see if you can help spread awareness and help find a cure for this terrible disease. All right, that's going to do it for us. Our thanks to Eric Dalala, Ali Pishing before that, and Andrew Mason before that, Matt Boyer. I'm Phil Milani. Thank you so much for joining us for Broncos Camp Live, powered by Ford.